Peter Parker has built tech in his bedroom that professional labs couldn't replicate. He's trained alongside some of those smartest, most powerful people in his entire world. On paper, he is one of the most valuable minds in New York City. He also almost got evicted twice in the same year. That's not bad luck. That's not comic book logic. That is a real, documented psychological pattern, and once you see it, you are going to recognize it in your own bank account. So let's actually talk about why the most capable person in his entire universe stays the poorest one in the room. Because the answer isn't Spider-Man. The answer is a belief a lot of high-achieving, good-hearted people are quietly running in the background, including, maybe, you. Here's the contradiction nobody ever fully explains, no matter which version of this story you're watching. Peter builds something no one else can, on his own, as a teenager, with basically no money, no lab, no corporate backing. Whatever shape it takes, a formula, a suit, a piece of tech that shouldn't be possible from a bedroom, it's worth a fortune to the right buyer. He never cashes in on it. Not once. Not in the comics, not in a single movie, not in any version anyone has ever put on screen. Instead, he picks up whatever underpaid gig is in front of him. Freelance photography, tutoring, part-time work that has nothing to do with what he's actually capable of.
Pizza time.
Meanwhile, the people around him are doing just fine, and Peter is still counting change for the subway. Now, stop and actually sit with that for a second, because if a friend of yours did that in real life, you would tell them they were insane. You invented something worth millions and you're doing gig work instead? So why does it make total sense the second Peter does it? Why doesn't a single reader ever stop and say, wait, license the formula, dude? Because Peter isn't making a financial decision, he's making an identity decision. And this is the part psychology actually has a name for. It's called purpose-identity fusion. It happens when your sense of who you are gets welded to a mission bigger than yourself, protecting people, helping people, being one of the good ones. Once that fusion happens, your brain quietly starts treating profit as a threat to your identity, not a neutral choice, a betrayal. Peter doesn't avoid wealth because he's dumb. He avoids it because some part of him has decided that a rich Spider-Man wouldn't be a real hero anymore. In his head, poor equals pure, comfortable equals compromised. And before you say, okay, but that's just a comic book, check yourself against this for 1 second. Have you ever undercharged for your work because asking for more felt greedy? Ever turned down a raise-worthy opportunity because chasing it felt like it would make you less humble, less grounded, less like yourself? Ever felt an actual flash of guilt the one time you made real money? That's not humility. That's Peter Parker's exact wiring running in real life. It shows up everywhere. The nurse who won't ask for the raise she's earned 3 times over. The teacher who buys classroom supplies out of pocket and calls it just part of the job. The freelancer who slashes their rate the second the client hesitates because charging what they're worth felt like being difficult. Good people, all of them, running the exact same broken program. Good person equals poor person, as if the two were somehow proof of each other. And here's the part that makes this so hard to catch in yourself. It doesn't feel like a problem, it feels like a virtue. Staying poor while being good feels noble. It feels like evidence you're one of the real ones, not in it for the money, not selling out, not like those other people. That feeling has a name too. Moral licensing. Your brain rewards the sacrifice with a little hit of, I'm one of the good ones. And that reward is so satisfying that you never stop to ask if the sacrifice was actually necessary in the first place. Picture the version of this in a normal life, not a comic book. Someone finally gets offered a promotion. Better title, better pay, more responsibility, and instead of feeling excited, something in their chest tightens. If I take this, will people think I changed? Will I still be the person who actually cares? That tightness isn't wisdom. That's Peter standing over the thing he built, hand hovering over the deal that would finally cash it in, quietly deciding to walk away. Here's where it gets interesting though. because the villain in this story was never money. The villain is the belief that money and meaning can't sit in the same hand. Look at Bruce Wayne. Same city, basically the same mission, protect people, fight crime, save lives most nights of the week, completely different relationship with wealth. Bruce doesn't see Wayne Enterprises as a betrayal of Batman. He sees it as Batman's fuel tank. The company funds the cave. The company funds the tech. The company funds every gadget, every vehicle, every piece of armor that keeps him alive on a rooftop at 3 a.m. Bruce never once thinks, if I make more money, I care less. He thinks, the more resources I control, the more people I can actually save. Same with Tony Stark. Stark Industries doesn't make Tony a worse hero. It's the reason he has a lab at all. That's the entire difference between a hero who burns out alone in a one-bedroom apartment and a hero who's still fully operational 20 years later because he built an engine underneath the mission instead of just running on willpower and guilt. Alright, quick break, because I actually want to know something from you. Comment one word below. Peter, if this hit closer to home than you expected, or Bruce, if you've already built that fuel tank mindset. I read every single one, and it tells me exactly what to cover in the next video. And subscribe while you're down there. Think of it as refilling your own web shooter cartridge before the next one drops. So how do you actually fix this in your own life? Not think positive, not manifest abundance. 3 real doable moves. First, find your web fluid. Somewhere in your life right now, there is a skill you are giving away for free or selling for way under what it's actually worth because charging properly for it feels uncomfortable. Maybe it's a side skill. Maybe it's your actual job. Write it down today in one sentence. That discomfort you feel isn't a moral compass. It's not your conscience keeping you honest. It's the exact same wiring Peter has, quietly running your life instead of his. Second, separate your worth from your invoice. Getting paid fairly for your work doesn't make you a worse person, and it doesn't make you less generous. It makes you sustainable. Nobody on earth clocks out of being a good person because their bank account grew. If anything, the version of you with a full tank has more to give than the version running on fumes than calling it noble. Third, reframe money as fuel, not reward. Stop asking, do I deserve this money? That question keeps you stuck forever because guilt never runs out of reasons. Start asking instead, what can this money let me protect, build, or take care of? Bruce doesn't fund the cave because he thinks he's earned a treat. He funds it because an empty tank means nobody gets saved next time somebody needs him. Peter Parker isn't poor because he lacks the ability to be rich. He's one of the most capable people in his entire universe. He's poor because somewhere along the way, he quietly decided that wealth and goodness were opposites, and he's been paying for that belief in rent money ever since. And if you've ever felt that same quiet guilt around charging what you're worth, around wanting more, around being ambitious while still being a genuinely decent person, that belief was never protecting you. It's just been keeping you stuck in a one bedroom of your own. You do not have to choose between being someone who helps people and being someone who is actually taken care of. That was never a real choice. It's a trap dressed up as virtue, and it has convinced good, capable people to stay small for absolutely no reason. The moment you stop treating your own ambition as something to apologize for is the exact moment you start building a fuel tank instead of just running on empty and calling it noble. And notice something else. Every single person Peter actually protects, May, MJ, the entire city, would be better off if he had resources instead of nothing. Nobody he loves benefits from his poverty. Nobody is safer because his rent is late. The sacrifice isn't even serving the mission it claims to protect. It's just costing him, quietly, for no one's benefit but the story he tells himself about who he is. You already have the formula. You built it yourself, with your own 2 hands, exactly the way Peter did. The only decision left is whether you finally sell it or spend another decade quietly explaining why you can't. If this reframed how you see your own money habits, the video breaking down exactly how Tony Stark would build wealth from zero is right there on your screen. It's basically the practical blueprint for everything we just talked about. Go watch that one next. See you over there.
So, you got detention.